Welcome to another episode of our podcast. Today, we'll dive into a topic that resonates deeply with millions of Lebanese people, both living in Lebanon and abroad. This episode is about the hidden trauma that has shaped a generation and continues to affect the mental health of many. I'm talking about the panic attacks and PTSD that plague countless Lebanese due to the terrorism and violence experienced during and after the Lebanese Civil War, as well as the random bombs that have detonated throughout the country. Some speak openly about it, while others suffer in silence. But make no mistake, these psychological wounds are real, and their impact is profound. The Lebanon Civil War, which spanned from 1975 to 1990, left deep scars on the country. The violence, bombings, kidnapping, and sectarian conflict created a living nightmare for many. Even after the war officially ended, Lebanon has continued to face a period of instability, with terrorist attacks and random bombings plaguing its streets. For the Lebanese, the sound of explosions, the sight of destruction, and the fear of death become a part of daily life. Today, I want to explore why so many Lebanese have ended up with panic attacks and PTSD, some confronting it, while others hide it, trying to live with it. We'll delve into the psychology behind trauma, the Lebanese experience, and the silent struggle of coping with these invisible wounds. First, let's understand what we mean by panic attacks and PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is a psychological condition triggered by experiencing or witnessing traumatic events. Symptoms include flashbacks, nightmares, severe anxiety, and uncontrollable thoughts about the traumatic events. Panic attacks, on the other hand, are sudden episodes of intense fear or discomfort, where someone might feel like they're losing control, having a heart attack, or even dying. In Lebanon, many people have been exposed to those triggers repeatedly. Imagine living in a place where at any moment a bomb could go off, or walking up to the sound of gunfire day after day. These aren't just moments of fear. They're ingrained into the psyche of the people. Every explosion, every raid, every moment of chaos leaves a lasting mark on the mind. For some, this trauma manifests in panic attacks. It could be something as simple as hearing a loud noise, and suddenly they're back in the moment of terror. Their heart races, their chest tightens, and they feel the same fear, even if there's no immediate danger. For others, it's PTSD, the constant reliving of past traumas, even when they're in a peaceful environment. During the Civil War, people from all walks of life were affected. No one was safe, not in their homes, not in their schools, not even in places of worship. There was no sanctuary from the violence. And it wasn't just the war itself. There were also waves of terrorism, with bombs going off in unexpected places, sometimes targeting civilians, other times political or sectarian groups. The randomness of these attacks created an environment where trust was shattered. Even after the war, Lebanon remained vulnerable to these kind of attacks, with foreign powers intervening, militant group fighting for control, and terrorist cell operating in the region. The Lebanese have never truly been able to breathe a sigh of relief. So what happens to a population exposed to such prolonged trauma? The answer is simple. Their bodies and mind adapt. By adaptation doesn't mean healing. For many, This means living in a state of constant alertness. The nervous system becomes conditioned to expect dangers at any moment. This is what we call hypervigilance, a state where any sound, any movement, or any slight change in the environment can trigger a fear response. Imagine living like this for years, decades. Your body never fully relaxes. Your mind never truly escapes the fear. This is the reality for many Lebanese. Panic attacks become a part of life. PTSD lurk in the background of everyday activities. And because talking about mental health is still taboo for many, people bottle it up and try to continue with their lives. Let's talk about those who speak up and those who remain silent. Some Lebanese have found the strength to speak about their experiences, to acknowledge the panic attacks and the PTSD they suffer from. This is especially true for younger generations who are more open to discussing mental health. They seek therapy, talk to loved ones, or at least admit that they've been affected by the trauma. However, the older generations, those who lived through the peak of the Civil War, often take a different approach. For them, there's a sense of pride in enduring the hardship without complaint. Talking about mental health can be seen as a weakness or simply unnecessary. "We survived the war, didn't we?" is a common phrase. This mentality creates a culture where many hide their panic attacks, avoid discussing their PTSD, and try to live life as if everything is normal, when in fact they are suffering silently. This silent suffering takes a toll. It's like trying to endure a wound that keeps getting worse every time. Without addressing the trauma, it festers, impacting relationships, work, and overall quality of life. For many, the panic attacks come at night when they're alone. For others, the PTSD emerges in unexpected ways. A simple reminder of the past can send them spiraling. So where does Lebanese go from here? How do we as a society address the widespread panic attack and PTSD that so many Lebanese experience? First, it starts with acknowledgement. We need to create a space where people feel comfortable talking about their mental health. There should be no shame in admitting that the violence, terrorism, and war have affected us deeply. Trauma doesn't make us weak. It makes us human. Second, access to mental health care is crucial. Unfortunately, Lebanese healthcare system is strained, and mental health services are often inaccessible or stigmatized. This needs to change. Therapy, counseling, and support groups should be made available and affordable to all. Finally, there needs to be an effort to educate people about the signs of panic attacks and PTSD. By understanding these conditions better, we can start to heal. Families and communities must be encouraged to support one another and to recognize that mental health is just as important as physical health. The story of Lebanon is one of resilience, but it's also one of unspoken trauma. Panic attacks and PTSD are a hidden epidemic among the Lebanese, born out of decades of war, terrorism, and violence. While some have found the courage to talk about their struggles, many continue to suffer in silence. It's time for that silence to end. We need to create a culture of healing, where mental health is prioritized, and where no one feels ashamed to admit that they've been affected. Thank you for listening to this episode. I hope it sheds light on an issue that is often overlooked but affects so many. If you or someone you know is struggling with panic attacks or PTSD, please don't hesitate to seek help. Together, we can start the process of healing. Until next time, stay safe and take care of your mind and heart. This is Tony, signing off.